funny. It's this funny guy that calls into a help desk to help with his VCR.
With his VCR?
It's normal. But he's got an accent, a very strong Asian accent. And so the whole thing is the clock's blinking, and he needs to fix the clock. And so he calls in, and the tech is like telling him to push a certain button. And he says, so I push button, and then he says, I can't say it. I don't want to get in trouble.
Oh, Gordon's on. Good morning, Gordon.
It's not time yet.
She's been keying up. And Liz, you did not even get the spot ready.
Well,
you are just...
because I was talking about the clock's still breaking. There you go.
Oh, boy. Good morning.
My voice is still recovering. I haven't even been able to practice.
So tired this morning. All right, come on in here. Start singing.
Oh, it's not time yet.
It is.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody got to see.
Good morning.
Rich, good morning. Welcome to Monday. It is very, very much a Monday morning to me. I am just tired for some reason this morning. And I had a good Monday morning because I started off at Kim. Good morning.
Hi, Kim.
At jiu-jitsu and had a great roll this morning. It's so much fun. I haven't sparred in a while because of my ribs and got to do some sparring today. And
do you remember the moves?
No, I don't. I have no idea. But I do remember the moves that we were learning today. But when it came to sparring, I don't know what the hell I did. But
do you remember the first time that during...
You might need to, Gordon.
The first time that you were rolling and something came to your brain without you thinking about it? Do you remember that light bulb moment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't remember specifically what it was, but I remember I can do this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this person just fell in the right spot, and this limb's just kind of hanging here, and I can armbar or Kimura or whatever. Yes.
You have an ability to look for... I have a friend that I roll with too that does this, but we'll be rolling and she can just see it. It's like, oh, I know that joint doesn't go that way, so boop.
I armbarred a guy this morning that way in a weird spot. I just had his arm trapped and I just looped he was actually on top of me and I was able to armbar him.
That's awesome.
He was frustrated with me.
I am not good at being creative like that and coming up with the moves.
Punch him in the face.
Okay. Okay. Anyway.
So last week, what has happened? So,
Look,
Jordan.
Kim's on. Gordon, yes, you should do. I guess we should do a duet. That would be awesome. Good morning, Kevin, and my sissy. Hi, JoJo.
Your what?
My sissy. We used to call each other sister pants. Oh, it's kind of goofy. Now we just call her JoJo.
Okay. So we have a topic here. I don't even know if I want to do, because we've got enough people on right now. I think I just kind of want to get straight
let's just go into it.
I'm just going to go. But there's a couple things I want to talk about first. One, how do you know? Okay, hold on. So we have this title, Nobody's Coming to Save You, right? Because, and we'll get there, I promise. But Liz and I were having a discussion this morning about teachers, right? Instructors, classes you go to, and how do you know that what you're going to is
Worth
quality,
it? Yeah.
worth the cost of, worth it. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother thing. So, not going to name names, not going to name places or whatever. But Liz went to a class last week that was
tough,
not good. And I don't know. I feel bad for people when they go to another class. I'm not saying we're the best on the planet. It's not what this is about. I feel bad for people when they go and take a class on whatever it is. It could be firearms. It could be hand-to-hand. It could be knitting. I don't know. And you think you're getting quality instruction, quality tips and pointers and information that you can use. and it's garbage.
Or dangerous.
Dangerous, yes.
The dangers behind suggesting someone using something in self-defense and telling them that this is what you need and this is going to solve the problem, and there's no additional training required or repetition or anything like that, or just certain moves, certain mindsets, certain goals. Sometimes those can be considered dangerous because if you learn something and you being the student and you come in and say, all right, this is what you need to overcome this, you're going to be good. And if they do this, then this, and this, then this, it's really hard for me to tell you the specifics without, I'm not trying to like be rude or discredit anybody, but what I'm trying to articulate is that classes, the value that you get from them, there's a lot of different things. I say what I'm trying to say. Yeah. For some reason, it's not coming out.
If you have a class, we're just going to say basic pistol. We're going to use our world, a basic pistol class. That our class is $135, or you can go to Bob's basic pistol classes. And I really hope there's not a guy out there that,
I know.
that uses that.
Poor
but
Bob.
If there is, poor Bob. Bob's basic pistol class is $30. Well, this one says basic pistol. This one says basic pistol. I don't know how to use a handgun, so I'm going to go take the less expensive one. Of course you would, because that seems to make sense in your brain, but the information you get is not good and potentially dangerous, especially when it comes to handguns. Knitting, you might not have to worry about danger so much, but when it comes to firearms or general self-defense, for sure.
I mean, have you seen those knitting needles? It's definitely catch an eye out.
They're kind of nasty looking.
Good morning, workman. Hi, Phil.
I wasn't even going to acknowledge his existence in the chat.
Gordon, what happened to my face? Well, I got into a fight with a mountain lion. Puma. I prefer to call him a puma. I got one.
Why is it him?
I don't know. I guess that's unpolitically correct of me. It got one good swipe, but I choked his ass out and got away. No, I'm a grappler. It happens sometimes.
It happens.
Rarely.
But
I did it to myself.
where did it happen?
It happened right before our women's self-defense workshop last week. It's kind of funny because all the ladies were walking in. All right, so Phil and I went early. We were rolling around.
Let's back up for just a second. So Friday, we had another super awesome women's self-defense seminar down the road at Gracie Baja. So Liz and I show up early and decide to roll a little bit and go.
We don't know when it happened, but at some point I think I tried to grab his, I think you were trying to gift wrap me or something. I was trying to grab your arm, and I think I scratched my face. It's not even a scratch, it's like a bruise. It's kind of weird. But anywho, mountain lions.
I feel terrible.
I did it to myself.
Yeah, she
It
did do
happens.
it to herself.
Anyway.
I blame her.
All right, so let's talk about the topic at hand. Peggy's
Peggy,
on too.
good morning.
What a great day.
Everybody's on this morning. I like it.
All right, so in my awareness class, there's a video that I show. And it's funny, I watch this video, I don't know how many times, every time I teach the class. And the last class I taught it, I noticed something. And it messed me up. And I knew this already, too. You know, watching several use of force videos and all kinds of stuff. But I noticed it, and I was like, holy crap.
You had a realization.
I had a realization.
Yeah.
So this woman is putting groceries into her car, and there's some drunkard on the side that decides he's going to attack her. And all of this is on camera. One thing you notice, though, is the camera's moving. And what does that tell you? Hi, Papa. So all my peoples are on.
Man, your whole family's watching.
It's awesome.
No pressure.
The camera's moving. So what does that tell you? That someone is holding it.
Yeah.
It's not a surveillance
Not a
video.
surveillance camera.
It's not, and it's not a body cam. This is from an elevated place, and it doesn't matter if it's a body cam or not. It was moving. That means someone is in control of the camera, holding it, whatever. This was a 30-minute long endeavor, I believe he says. Someone recorded the whole thing, and this person was just in their car. no cops showed up, nobody came to their safety, and this poor woman was raped violently for over 30 minutes before she was able to escape. No one's coming to save you. No one, and let me put this clearly, or let me clear this up a little bit. There's a possibility there's a hero around the corner, but it's not like the movies, which we've all been conditioned to, and the world is a little bit different than it used to be. To take your safety into your own hands is incredibly empowering, necessary, and I think we get a little bit. We take advantage of the convenience of our safety that we've been provided by law enforcement, our government, our authorities, our parents, our husbands, it doesn't matter, like we have taken advantage of that. And as everybody knows, things are a little bit different now, and taking your safety into your own hands, I think, is a really valuable thing.
It's hugely important.
One thing to think about, and we're talking about primal instincts. We're animals, right? We're at the top of the food chain, but why? Because of this and our ability to use tools. We don't run super fast. We don't have really long claws and all this other stuff.
Apparently you do. Your face looks like that.
But we have to take our safety into our own hands. And my sister could actually probably attest to this. Whenever she was traveling a lot recently, and she was going to different countries and countries that don't have the same system that we do as far as law enforcement, government, and all those things. So to understand that what we've been given here in our country and just Western civilization is something that we've been conditioned to take advantage of. I think if you can think about it like a National Geographic movie or video or whatever, and it's the big cat docuseries, and you see this big cat stalking a group of animals, which one are they going to go after? It's a cheetah, it can run super fast, or it's a tiger and it's got this brute strength and long claws and it can basically decimate whatever animal it comes to. But what do they choose? They're not choosing the leader at the head of the pack that's running the fastest, the biggest, the strongest, that's walking tall and paying attention. It's going to choose the little one at the back of the pack or the sickly one on the outskirts. It's still going to choose the easiest prey. Humans are no different than that. Criminals will also choose, in most cases, a weaker target. Something that's not going to put up much of a defense because they want it to be an easy thing. Now, obviously, there's the psychopaths and everything that's kind of a different thing. Some of them do that and they want resistance. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your average criminal that's looking for a moment of opportunity. Whether it's a resource thing, they're looking for your purse or your wallet or whatever you have. They want to steal it.
Cigarettes.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they want to steal whatever coins you got in your pocket so they can go buy some drugs or something. Resource predators are pretty dangerous because if they're willing to fight for something like that, it's really hard to. What are they willing to fight for? Okay, so there's that, and it's going to be different than what you would fight for. So therefore, you're already going to be caught off guard thinking that there's cameras everywhere, there's people everywhere, no one's going to attack me because of all these things. Criminals don't think like you do, especially if they're on drugs or they have a specific goal and they'll do whatever it takes to get there. Even more scary are the ones that have a mindset for violence. They want to attack you, they want to hurt you. For whatever reason, they're getting something out of that. Predators that attack to hurt and to injure, to be violent, have a whole nother mindset in general. And those are even more dangerous because they have a specific goal to hurt you. But to my point, again, is that you have to take it upon yourself, not your husband. Your husband's not there with you all the time, or your dad's not there with you all the time, or whoever is your protector is not there all the time. When you walk out the door with your family and you ask, your spouse, hey, you got your gun on? Okay, cool, I'm gonna just leave mine here. I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of that. I've done it before.
For sure, there's
and
some
it's-
convenience to that sort of thing. Like,
For
hey,
sure.
for whatever reason today I don't want to, or I can't, or whatever. However, owning your own safety, you're owning that by asking the question and all that. I think that so two things, right? You have to own your own safety, and you have to know that you're worth fighting for. That's the two big things. If you're married and you have kids, and it's part of your why you do what you do is so that you can get home to them every day, not to go out and get in a fight, but to have the ability to be able to defend yourself with whatever the tools are you decide, whether
Sure.
it's firearms or it's pepper spray or it's your bare hands. You have to own that responsibility and take it seriously. I despise when I hear a woman say, "Well, I very rarely am going to carry my gun because usually I go out with my husband and he's got a gun." Why? What? Why? What does that matter? Are you always side by side? And if, let's just say it was me and you going somewhere, and somebody was going to hold us up, right? Somebody was going to draw a gun on us. Who do you think they point the gun at?
You.
Me. Because I'm going to be perceived as the bigger, stronger person, have a higher potential of putting up a fight. And we've seen videos of that where the guy is put up against the wall or put on the ground or whatever, and the wife saves the day because she has her tool on her or in a bag. But it worked, right? As long as it works, it works. So you do that. I got to go let them in.
Yeah. And I think that, having your tools on you is a really important thing. One thing that when you're considering your tools and whether or not to carry your gun with you or whatever else, I make the decision. If I say I'm not going to carry my gun today, I'm sacrificing something. It's like, well, I'm going to the airport, so I can't carry my gun with me or whatever it is. I'm going to the post office. I can't carry my gun with me. But I have other tools. I have taken it upon myself to learn hand-to-hand skills. I carry pepper spray. I have a knife, limited training on that. Not my preference, but I can weigh my decision based off of what I'm doing that day. Good morning, Andy. So I feel a little bit more solace in choosing a different tool because I have those options. But if your only tool is a firearm, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice of being limited to that one tool. And every situation is dynamic and different. And there's also something to consider that against that as well with multiple tools. If you have too many tools, you're going to have to be thinking about which tool to use in the moment, and that's a lot more decision making. So it's a fine line. But your best tool is right here between your ears, and learning how to use the tools available to you, being aware of your surroundings, understanding that your safety is your responsibility, I think is a really important aspect of life. And your safety is a convenience that we've come to understand. Welcome back.
Ta-da! I'm here.
We've come to take advantage of. Because we live in a fairly safe world. We live in a very safe world compared to other countries, other situations, and civilizations and everything. But what if, right? What if? And I was hearing someone the other day saying, you don't need a gun, because if you're willing to take a life over, someone taking your things, that's you're hot-headed, you're a gunslinger, whatever else, you're a murderer. You're right. We don't use a gun over things. But a lot of people that are against guns don't think about themselves as a target. And your safety, that's what we're willing to defend, is my life, not things. I'm a black belt in Dukes. Are you? And you want to go? I don't even know what you're talking about.
You probably don't want to. If you say it out loud, it'll probably say something you don't want to say. I'm just guessing.
Thank you. Probably.
Sorry, and I don't know if you said this while I was gone, but you said something in the office this morning that I thought was interesting, that you don't have a right to safety. You have a right to self-defense.
Yeah.
And that's 100% accurate, right?
That's why our 2A, I mean, like anybody that's 2A, pro 2A, it's a God-given right. Defenses. That's what they're talking about. The gun itself, the theory of defense is a God-given right. Just like for the zebra too. That's his God-given right to be able to protect himself, to defend himself, whatever, so he can run really fast. They have stripes and everything to blend in, and every animal has its own defensive mechanism. Even plants have their own defense mechanisms. Why do we constantly, are we naive to those things? Those are real. Our intuition, our gut feeling, that's all real. Our ability to learn things, that's real. Use it, learn. And the more knowledge you have, the more tools that you have, you can make better decisions in the moment. One thing that I was bringing up was, now that I do hand-to-hand stuff and I have other tools like pepper spray and the knowledge to know how to use them, there are times where I can't take my gun, but I feel better about it because I have other tools available to me. I can walk out every day with my hands, and that gives me some solace in going to those places where I can't take my gun.
This thing right here too. So
Yeah.
I just watched a video the other day where guys like, I've got it. This is the ultimate self-defense thing. You'll win every fight if you do this.
Avoid it. Yep.
And just walk away, right? And it certainly, that's not always that easy,
Sure.
right? But it paying attention to what's going on around you, listening, like you just said, listening to that gut feeling, that intuition about something feels off about this person, and acting on it and getting yourself away. Oh, damn, I forgot my. And just leaving.
Yep. So
Right.
before, you didn't even have to say anything about what you just did. How did you all know what he just did? Where was his brain at when he just walked away? His body language told you that he forgot something. We pick up so much from body language, and that is what a lot of our intuition is picking up on as well. 80% of communication between people is body language and tone of voice. It's not really what you're saying, and I'm sure if you're married, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you have to, the movies and the media, not even the media, no, some movies water that down, and they ruin it. And body language is so incredibly important. What is so funny? What? Anyway, I'm going to keep going then.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what you said. You said something and you kind of fumbled a word, and I and now I've just got it stuck in my head. I thought you were going to say boobies.
I did. I thought, I froze for just a second. I'm like, I just said boobies. I didn't mean to say
I don't
boobies.
think you said it. I mean, now you said it twice, but I don't think you said it. But you started to say movies and just something about. I don't know, but that started going through my head that I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. Sorry.
Vinny would be proud.
Yes. I apologize, Miss Leone.
So, but our body language tells us a lot, and if you learn what you're looking at, if someone gives you the creeps, why?
They were already done, Dan. I don't know.
Are you picking up on something that makes sense, like logic? Well, they're making me nervous because they're clenching their fists and they're tightening their jaw and they're constantly looking over their shoulder. That all makes sense as somebody that you should probably stay away from.
And you may not recognize
Yep.
that consciously.
You just get some goosebumps or the tickle on the back of your neck or just that weird feeling.
Your brain sees it, your subconscious recognizes it and triggers your that response, that goosebumps, the hair raising up on the back of your neck. You should listen to that because you are noticing that something is wrong.
Yep.
Right? You just aren't conscious about what you're noticing.
To think about dogs too. We've all had if you have a dog,
Thanks, Ken.
you've
We will
ever
definitely try.
take them out for a walk, and you encounter someone. Dogs like standoffish with some people and not with others. So you're walking down the street and you're passing this person, and your dog all of a sudden hair gets on end and just like, I don't like that person. We've all seen dogs have that moment. What are they picking up on? Are they picking up on that person and their body language? Maybe. What if they're picking up on your body language because that person makes you feel uncomfortable? That's
100%.
Oftentimes what it is, because the dog is picking up on the alpha's body language. If your dog is the alpha of your house, then maybe it's the person. But if you're the alpha, like it should be, that dog is most likely picking up on your body language, and you're not trusting your gut that person is off.
Yeah, that dog is a master of reading you.
Yes,
Right.
That's why dog
is a master of reading you. So when they start noticing these little things that you might be ignoring, that's when all of a sudden the dog's getting audible and or trying to run away or whatever the case may be. They're picking up on things that you're doing because you are their entire world. So when they pick up on the little things that you're doing that shows you're uncomfortable, it makes them uncomfortable. Eugene, good morning.
Good morning. So, just learn more about. I really empower you to learn more about body language. It's really fascinating stuff.
Cool.
I need myself. I'll need a little corgi. I really want a corgi. They're so cute. But pay attention to that stuff. Trust your instincts, your gut, given that it's not convoluted by a bunch of nonsense. But start understanding.
How do you know?
So one thing that I've noticed about learning body language is now those moments where I feel something is off. Now I can at least start to try to identify why.
You can have a conscious awareness.
Absolutely. When I'm standing next to somebody and I know, like, intuition is knowing something without knowing why. Okay. But what if you can harness why? That's me. I love why. I was definitely the kid, I'm sure, walking around like, why? I'm getting it back tenfold. But I overthink everything. So if I'm off by put off by someone, I'm going to start thinking about it more. Don't get scared, get curious. Don't get mad, get curious. Like, think about it more. Be careful. But learning body language and things like that, you can start to put logic behind the feeling. And that helped me out a lot to start to trust my gut. And it's like, okay, I feel this, but why? And then I start looking for it, like, that's why. They're clenching their fists or they're whatever. I give this example sometimes of, how media can have an effect on our intuition. And by the way, Gavin DeBecker wrote a book called The Gift of Fear, and he goes into a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. So go get the book, listen to the audiobook, look it up on YouTube, whatever, listen to it, or read it or whatever. It has nothing to do with guns. But he gives this example of you're in the airport waiting for your plane, and all of a sudden you get this feeling like you should not get on that plane. Just like that crazy lady that's, I know it's not there, and I'm getting off this plane right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up.
I have no idea what you're
Oh, you should watch it. But anyway, so you're sitting there waiting to get on the plane, and all of a sudden you get this overwhelming feeling of like, I should not get on that plane. Do you get curious? Do you not want to get on the plane because last night you just heard about plane whatever going down in Malaysia? Okay, that's kind of nerve-wracking to hear right before you get on a plane, but that's worry. That's more of a very distant, it's the likelihood of that happening to you is so incredibly low, it's not even funny. But you just heard the night before is directly applicable and relatable to your situation. Or did you, as you were walking to your gate or whatever, notice a pilot stumbling out of the bar? Was it something that you could logically put together? Did your intuition pick up on something logical? Or is it your worry picking up on something that you're remembering or that you've been conditioned by or whatever? It's like if you've fallen from a high place and you broke your arm when you were 12 years old, maybe you now have a fear of heights. Like there's worry and things that you can get from previous circumstances and hearing things and whatever being, like like I said, the plane going down. But if you pay attention to your surroundings, you're more aware, and you understand your intuition, you can use it as a tool, and it's so much more empowering. So.
Is that all you got to say about that?
That's all I got to say about that.
So I really think the couple big point takeaways. As the title says, nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself. Right? The chance of you calling for help and somebody coming to help you is low. I hope that if you're ever put in a situation like that and you call for help, that somebody does come to help you. But we tell our students all the time that your responsibility is to yourself and your family. If I'm the one that's in the fight and you want to come help me, great, but you have a potential of getting hurt by coming to help me. Now, in the example that she gave earlier, the person that was videotaping this lady get savagely beaten and raped, that's not okay, right? Like, if you don't want to get involved because you physically don't think you could take that person, that's okay. That device you're using to record the whole thing, you could be calling the cops.
Absolutely.
Because by the time you get the phone call through, you still have minutes at a minimum to wait. Depending on where you're at, it could be many, many minutes for law enforcement to get to you. I remember a time, now my dad used to live kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I was in the Marine Corps at the time. I showed up to his house, nobody was home. I used my key, opened the door, alarm goes off. I have no idea how to turn the alarm off. So I sit there, and this is before cell phones were super prevalent everywhere, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, there's no cell phone reception. I sat there and thought, okay, I'm just gonna wait for the cops to show up. It was like 45 minutes for the cops to show up. Now, this was out in the middle of nowhere,
Sure.
and this wasn't somebody calling for help because I need help, but a house alarm was going
A house
off.
alarm, yeah.
45 minutes for the cops to show up.
That
So-
happened to me whenever, if you haven't heard this story yet, one night, me and my husband woke up to our alarm going off. It was the first time it had gone off, so it was a new sound to us. And we were pretty sound asleep. Woke up to the alarm going off, trying to look at our phone. It's super bright, can't see it because the phone is what's telling us what alarm, what triggered the alarm. Finally notice it's the garage glass break. So as we're both getting out of bed and grabbing our guns and everything, we go to the back door. We have a detached garage that's across the yard. And so we're standing at the back door. Man, I don't remember what my original thing was with
The
this.
cops.
No, the cops. So my alarm is supposed to call the police as soon as it starts going off if I don't respond to it. I never did respond to it because I didn't know what the problem was. So we're standing at the back door, like in a daze, trying to figure out what the heck to do. We're like, he wanted to go outside and see what was going on. I get that. It's not the best idea. So we battled about that for a little bit and decided to just open up the big door. Send the dog out, everything's fine. However, it was a false alarm. But guess who never showed up? Ever. Never called, never showed up. The alarm company never talked to the little Skynet system, whatever. I got nothing. My alarm yelling in my ear, that's about it. But that was Vivint, by the way. Vivint Home Security. I've had nothing but problems with them. But anyway, it's just another thing. But we would have been ready had that been a real encounter and, they would have been trying to hurt us in our house. We would not go out to the garage to defend property. But if they were to come into the house, we were ready at that point. And that's precisely my point. We were ready. The cops never showed up. So we would have had to take that into our own hands. But that's it.
Nobody's coming to save you. You're worth fighting for. Own the responsibility of being as prepared as you can be. Don't care if firearms are one of your tools or not. Start training this thing first in how to avoid situations. I do think some hand-to-hand stuff is vitally important. We had a great conversation this morning. This I kind of wanted to dig into it with you a little bit, but we have lots of women that come to jiu-jitsu, only one that likes to get up early in the morning and come to the morning classes. She's awesome. She's vicious. She's great. Her and I were rolling this morning, and she was just like, how do I get over your strength or your weight? I'm substantially heavier than she is. It's the same issue that you and I have, or you have if you and I roll, right? And she's like, I want to be better at using your momentum or your weight against you, and that's something I have to figure out, right? So we had a great discussion afterwards. One of the higher belts stuck around with us and was like, yeah, it's important, an important thing for you to try to understand. And that's one of the great things about this sport. But that's far more important for her to try to figure out, or far more important for you to try to figure out than
Absolutely.
It is for me. And it was awesome to see her brain go there. And she's like, I want to figure it out. She said, open mats, me and you, we're coming to open mats and we're going to roll.
That's awesome.
Like, let's do it.
Yep, that's how you're going to get it, is challenging yourself. One of the girls that I roll with quite frequently, she's a very small frame lady. I'm not particularly small, and if her and I would roll together.
Jan, yes.
Oh yeah.
Unequivocally, absolutely, without a doubt, yes.
Yep. She would mop the floor with me. Her technique was better than mine, and she could overcome my size and strength easy. She still kicks my ass. Her technique is sound. She works really hard on her technique because she is small and she has to overcome that. And then, with that in mind too, other tools, that's one of the things that the gun is good for, is a force equalizer. And just understanding the concept of, we're a little more fragile than most men, and I'm saying that's a generalized statement. There's always exceptions to every rule. And on that note, there's a guy that used to come to my gym. He was, oh my gosh, he was like 15, but he was like 6'4". I mean, he was massive. And because he was so big, he didn't have to dial in his technique very much. And I have been able to submit him a couple times just on technique alone, and I was able to overcome that size disadvantage. So it's really important to recognize that too. I say this also in my ladies' classes, that we have this society now where we pump up women. I'm not saying we shouldn't pump up women, but I don't want you to do it haphazardly or without giving them the ambition to work on it, because you can't just claim that we're powerful. You can't say women empowerment, you better treat me like I'm powerful.
That's artificial.
That you are giving them a false sense of confidence. All these movies where the women are the superheroes and can just blow everybody away. I appreciate the intent, kind of. It's going way over the top, and we have to take that more seriously. You're not going to just say, hey buddy, you stay right there, I'm an empowered woman. Okay, cool. But are you powerful for real? No. Take it upon yourselves. Be powerful. Don't just claim empowerment. And you are worth fighting for. Okay? Even if you don't have kids. Women are much likely to bring out the violence if it's mama bear mode. But if you don't have kids, you got to be able to flip that switch. That's something that I'm working on. Even being a mom, it's hard for me to get aggressive sometimes, and that's something that I'm constantly working on. I know that's a weakness of mine, but that's also important. Just know your weakness, know your strengths, and work on it. That's all I got. I have these like awkward stops.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So Jan, I think that.
Reiterate the question.
Yeah, so if you're watching this later, Jan's asking, hand-to-hand for a female a tad over 60, worth it? Yes. That's what I was saying, unequivocally, absolutely yes, it's worth it. Are you going to be able to... So this is a super important thing. Friday, we had our women's self-defense seminar down the street at the gym at Gracie Baja. We try really, really, really hard to make sure the women that show up for that understand that this is a one-time 2-hour class. It's not going to make you be able to fight me off if I really am determined to hurt you. It can give you some tools that are very effective for that, but if you never practice it again, they're not effective anymore. You're not going to know how to do it. If you have to think, okay, if he ends up on top of me, I have to reach over this way and then do this thing, and that's not going to work. It has to get repeated. It has to get practiced. It's something you have to dive into, just like shooting. Knowing that you're a shooter, you know, if you're getting really good and you're feeling good, your holster draws are good, everything's working well, and then you just stop doing it because now you've learned everything, well, that you're going to start regressing. You're not going to be good. You might still remember how to do it, but you won't be as good. If you try to learn a technique one time today and then turn it off and then try to apply it 3 months from now while somebody's smashing you into the ground, it's not going to work. Coming out, for one, it's a great workout. You're going to feel weak and clumsy and uncoordinated, and you are, right? You are just that fledgling spotted deer that's trying to walk the first time, right? Yep. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it, and it is simply a tool, but it's an important one.
Yep.
Give it a try. Practice is key for pretty much everything.
Absolutely.
Pretty much everything. So we try really hard in all of our classes to make sure people understand that this is, you've taken a basic pistol class or more importantly a CCW class. That's not gun training.
Right.
That's an information class, right? It's not gun training. So you're not ready to go, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Take more classes. Don't care if you take it here. We told them that at Gracie. The guys who own the gym down there told them, you don't take classes here. Not say don't. You don't have to take classes here. We're not trying to pitch you classes here. We want you to understand that this is something you should be doing. Find a gym close to you that uses reputable instructors, reputable curriculum, and making me.
I'm trying to make notes.
Okay. That has a good reputation. Find out who they are in your area and go to them.
Okay, just a couple more things. CCW class. When I'm explaining this class and like at what point should I take it, sometimes I will push people to take it just as an introduction to the defensive mindset world, because using a firearm for self-defense has a lot of consequences. So if you take that class, 100% you are not good to go after that. Like it can be an introduction, like, okay, is this for me? It's a big world, and it's a good introduction to that for sure. But you have to keep coming. You have to keep training. Don Fitz brings up something. Don't train till you get it right. Train till you can't get it wrong, then maintain. Absolutely. My 13-year-old right now is using butterfly knives and trying all these tricks and stuff. He's using a trainer, but he is so excited to show me just as soon as he gets it done once. And he's like, Mom, check out what I can do. And he'll do it like 18 times and not be able to recreate it again. And I'm excited for him. I love the learning and I love his application of it and his practice of it. But I had to have a conversation with him. It's like, I want you to keep practicing until you can't get it wrong. We said that line to him. And then come and show me again. You know, it's like, I want to keep seeing the practice, but I also want him to understand that just because you do it once correctly, it's not going to stay that way. You have to repeat it over and over and over again. I told him that he needs to be able to do it multiple times in a row before he says he's learned it. And then one last thing, at least for me, is our special this month in October. Considering everything that we're talking about, one of the classes that I teach here is our Women's Awareness and Safety Seminar. And we talk about awareness and body language, setting boundaries with your voice and all kinds of things. It's kind of a big picture of mental self-defense. And then at the end of it, we do go through a couple things to get out of wrist grabs, you know, how to base yourself to keep from being pulled in somewhere into a car or another location, which is the worst. And we do a couple of those things that we go in more depth and more of them in the Gracie workshop. So if you want a predecessor to that, come take that class. on that note, we're giving that class away for free this month if you sign up for a basic handgun or a CCW class. So if you know someone or if you yourself sign up for a basic handgun or a CCW class, you can get that women's self-defense seminar for free. If you're a guy and you sign up for one of those classes, give it to a lady you know or something. Or, obviously I would want the person to take both classes if at all possible, but I just want people to come and take it to see what this life is all about.